Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper mindset versus fading effect bias. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing dumper mindset versus fading effect bias. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you may have heard of the fading effect bias as an opportunity to reconnect with your ex. But what exactly does this mean, and how does this relate to the dumper mindset? In today's podcast, I'm going to be discussing 3 points to consider regarding the dumper mindset versus the fading effect bias. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is dumpers don't forget the past. So I think it's important straight away to discuss what exactly is the fading effect bias and how can this possibly potentially help you reconnect with your ex, your dumper, but especially how it relates to the dumper mindset and the fact that they don't forget the past. Now, the reason I state dumpers don't forget the past is because the fading effect bias is a theory that people lose value of negative memories sooner than positive memories. But there is a difference regarding that and actually forgetting. A dumper, or for that matter anybody, does not forget the past. You don't forget something which negatively happened to you. But what does take place is over time, those negative feelings and emotions are more likely to lose value in your mind in comparison to positive memories, positive experiences. So if you live your life and you have a similar amount of positive experiences and a similar amount of negative experiences, but all took place at a similar time frame, as the weeks, months and years tick by, you are more likely to remember the positive memories with a lot more value than the negative memories. It doesn't mean you forget the negative memories. Your ex, the dumper, is not going to forget if, when, why and how they ended the relationship. They're not going to forget why they lost romantic emotional attraction for you. They're not going to forget if you did something which caused them to take this action of a breakup, such as if you cheated on them. They're not going to forget that you did this. But what does take place is the value of that pain will reduce in their mind. Now, does this mean that every single thing that you do will be forgiven? No, that is not the case. Okay, that does not necessarily mean that anything you have ever done which is bad will be completely erased, forgotten about, forgiven, and just understood, you might say. This does not mean this, but it does mean that the value for most things, most experiences, most memories is going to be removed and lose quantity, you could say, sooner than positive memories and experiences. So, if you and your ex have broken up, you definitely know one thing. They lost romantic emotional attraction for you. For whatever reason, we can't say for certain. I certainly can't without speaking with you via my audio coaching service. And if you do want to speak one-on-one with me about breakups, whether you want to try to get your ex back, whether you want to try to move forward with your life, whether you want to try to meet somebody even better, if you want to speak with me one-on-one via audio coaching, check out my website, www.dateme.tips, and you will see all of the information and how me and you can speak one-on-one via audio coaching. But if we don't speak via audio coaching, I'm not going to know exactly how and why your relationship ended. But you may have an inkling, you may have an idea, maybe you don't either. But for whatever reason it took place, it did take place. Your ex, the dumper, lost romantic emotional attraction. And this means that there are some feelings of negativity in their mind. Even if it's just because of complacency, even if it's just because they felt you were not trying within the relationship, that is still a negative in their mind. But the good news is that over time, those thoughts, feelings and memories will not have as much importance in your ex's mind as they do right now. And this means there is an opportunity that moving forward, they may get to the stage where they want to reach out to you because they remember the great memories, they remember the happiness, the laughter and the fun for a lot longer with a lot more power and vigour than they do the negative memories. So as you can see, the positive outweighs the negative, and this is why and when they may reach out to you. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about dumper mindset versus fading effect bias. And point number 2 is we all have experience of a fading effect bias. So the fading effect bias is not just something which is connected to breakups, it is connected to everyday life. And one of the best examples we can give to think of our own experiences is if you've heard of the saying, the term, are you wearing rose-tinted glasses? So this basically means but if somebody says that to you, if somebody says, hey, are you wearing rose-tinted glasses? That suggests you are speaking about something which is not the opinion that others have of that said event. So let's look at an example. Let's imagine that you are discussing a party that you went to many years ago. And in this description you give, you say, it was a great day. I love that party. I had such a great time. And your friend is listening to you and they say, hey, are you wearing rose-tinted glasses? Like, don't you remember? But when you were there, you weren't having the best time the whole night. Yeah, there were some good moments, but you weren't happy for some of the night because of this, and this. Now, there is an example where a third party remembers something a little differently to how you now see it. And that is because if somebody says, are you wearing rose-tinted glasses? It's because you look at the past more favourably than perhaps it was. You are remembering the party. Maybe you are remembering the things that your friend even hinted at. But now they don't seem to matter as much as they once did. And instead you remember the laughter and the fun. So basically, what we need to realise here is we all have experience of a fading effect bias. It doesn't just happen if you are a dumper. It doesn't just happen if you end a relationship. It doesn't just happen if you've been through breakups. We've all had experiences of a fading effect bias and how it relates to us, how we can look back at it, how we can realise when we think, hey, I was wearing rose-tinted glasses when I look back on that. Everybody's reminded me really, but I did not feel that way at that time. Okay, if you can understand that concept and that theory, you will understand a lot more easily why I believe a fading effect bias can help you potentially reconnect with your ex, the dumper, if and when they are ready to reach out to you. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper mindset versus fading effect bias. And point number 3 is don't add new negativity. So as we've just explained, the fading effect bias fades the value of negative memories over time much quicker than positive memories. But what it doesn't do is dissolve memories completely, and especially memories which are newer, which are fresh. So if you want to try to get your ex back, you need to make sure that you aren't adding new negativity to their mindset. What I'm speaking about here might take months and months for your ex, the dumper, to actually think, okay, I would actually like to speak my dumpee again now. This isn't something they're going to lose value in their mind over a couple of days. And hence, if you are adding new negativity to their mindset, this is going to take longer to fade as well. So what do I mean by new negativity? Well, at the time of a breakup, you must accept the situation. Once the dust has settled, once the relationship is over, once the breakup is complete, you must respect your ex's decision. You can't chase them. You can't beg, plead, reason. You can't be bitter, angry or awkward. Those things are going to add new negativity to your dumper's mindset. Now you might think, well, I'm really upset by the breakup. I don't care. If I say a few things to upset them, they deserve it. Well, firstly, during the breakup itself, it's very understandable. Emotions running high. you are going to be fighting your corner as you see it. I'm not talking about then, I'm talking about once the dust has settled, once you've said your piece, once the emotions have been put out there, once your now ex-dumper has said, look, I still want to end this relationship. Once days and weeks have passed, you need to accept the situation for what it is. If after a month or so you are bombarding your ex-dumper with text messages, that's not going to help. If after a month or so you bump into your ex-dumper in the street and you say some harsh words to them, you might think, well, they deserve it. I'm going to say what's on my mind. That is not going to help you. All of this is adding negativity, it's adding drama. If you add negativity, if you add drama, if you do these things, it's not going to help you, because all of these thoughts, all of these memories in your dumper's mindset will have to go through the fading effect bias again at their own pace. And again, you're just adding months potentially to when they might not see that as badly as they did at the time. So if you want to try to get your ex back, the worst thing you could do is frustrate, annoy, or make your ex angry. You can't be doing this. You might feel they deserve it, but think about it. If you want your ex back, why would being horrible to them attract them back? Why would frustrating them attract them back? It won't work. You can't be negative. You can't be angry, bitter, awkward. You can't be chasing, frustrating your ex. Respect their decision. And in most instances, I would always say, if you've been dumped, never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. If you're not contacting them, you aren't doing anything wrong. And that's not being awkward. Now, if your ex-dumper reached out to you and you didn't respond, that could be deemed as being awkward, but not with you not reaching out first. So you can't reach out first in most instances. There are a few caveats to the rule, of course. But if your ex-dumper reaches out to you, then you do respond. Because if you don't, then that has been negative as well. Of course, if you want to try to get your ex back and your ex-dumper reaches out and then you don't respond, well, I don't really understand how you believe that would help your cause anyway. But people do behave in ways that don't often make sense. A dumpee's mindset is confused. And again, that is where my audio coaching service may come in handy to you. We can speak everything through. We can talk about your best route forward. And although there is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back, what I can say is that I will support you, I will be your teammate, and I will give you the best possible chance of success. Whether or not you get your ex back can't be guaranteed, but if you live your life in the right way, if you don't get them back, you can find somebody even better. So move forward with positivity. The fading effect bias will work in your favour, and even if it doesn't bring your ex back, it will help you understand that if you live your life in the right way, then people will have a more positive perception of you in general anyway. And if you live your life like that, then you're around the corner from happiness. With or without your ex, you will have a positive future. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.